All right, a matter of time, we're going to discuss, does influencers influence influencers? And that's going to be some truth coming out here about a trashed iPhone, about the love for something, and does Lenny Kravitz sell any reversals at all? Tune in. We'd love to see you here.
Pretty little thing, let me light your count, cause mama, I'm sure hard to hell and now, yes, around.
Welcome to a new episode of It's a Matter of Time, or, mind you, welcome to Yellowstone. But I'm saying this because
Howdy,
these
partner.
two
How you doing?
hunters are dressed in blue denim. Not that I do not appreciate a good blue denim shirt, which I do. I have 4 of them and I wear them year round.
I think it's imprinted in your skin by now.
Probably is. This is my skin. I am blue denim.
Is this Smurf?
Welcome, Eleonor. Welcome,
Thank you,
Andrew.
Kristian.
Say, Kristian.
Today we're going to talk about influencers influencing influencers, if you like. Hence these kids wearing blue denim.
Are you saying we have no personality, that we had to literally follow you vestimentary style? Is that what you're saying?
That's what you said. No, I'm not saying that.
We just followed our director's cue. He said everyone wears denim today. It's Marcus.
Even denim, like Canadian
That's a
tuxedo.
Canadian
Ding, ding,
tuxedo
ding. Yep.
going on right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, I appreciate that. I like people that look like me when we go to dinner. We just had lunch.
Do we look
so-
like your kids or your... What is this?
No, I got beautiful kids. Sorry about that, Eleanor.
What is that supposed to mean?
None taken.
We're going back to being serious and grown up right now in blue denim. We are going to talk about influencers who influence influencers. It's a weird subject, but we've been talking about this a lot. So, did we ever buy a watch influenced by an influencer on Instagram, on TV, in advertising campaigns for the brands, or anything else? Eleanor, since you are the most beautiful dressed in double denim at the table today, have you ever been influenced to buy a watch?
I have not.
That's a short answer. And back to you, Andrew. Tell me again. That sounds like you have a very strong mind and you
I
don't...
rarely do, but this time I probably do.
Okay, so let me come with an example. I know that you met a very, very famous Hollywood actor back in the days.
Many.
And
You must
you
know.
spent the night waiting for his attention. Do you remember what he was wearing that night, that particular night?
Yes, he
Okay.
was wearing the watch he was wearing for the campaign. And
Okay.
we're obviously talking about George Clooney,
Yes.
I didn't guess.
Yeah.
And he was wearing his Omega. And as much as I love George,
Uh-huh.
and I should say that in French because by now he should be fluent in French, living
Say it
in
in
France.
French then.
As much as je t'aime, Georges, je n'achèterai jamais la montre que tu portes au poignet.
I'm going to translate. As much as I think George is an astronaut, he was not wearing a Speedmaster. Thank you, Duolingo.
No, but okay, if we want to be just serious, just a few minutes, it could be George, it could be any of those master celebrities. And we just covered, like, for example, Lenny Kravitz, which
Oh.
I'm a big fan on so many standpoints. But it's never, ever going to influence me into considering buying a Gégère Lecoultre.
But you did take notice when Lenny appeared on the advertising of Gégère Lecoultre.
Well, it's kind of hard when you live in Geneva to kind of miss the gigantic image of Lenny walking down the stairs when you step out of the plane, which kind of happens to me 2-3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I discovered. But then, strangely enough, then I actually asked Gégère if there was a way to meet him, in a sense that not on a groupie standpoint like what I did with George, but actually I wanted to understand what was the link between Gégère Lecoultre and Lenny Kravitz, which to me is not stating the obvious. And I was very intrigued, and I generally think it's true that because Lenny Kravitz, it's such an interesting, passionate, and expert musician to the point that every single guitar he picks is of a specific sound. And if you've ever been to one of his concerts, it's just mind-blowing. Like I even think he got a few awards, not because of his songs, but because of the vibe at the shows. And I know it exists, where all of a sudden the entire room vibrates and he makes you close your eyes and just listen to the vibrations, and it just transports you in sort of a trance. And the parallel with Gégère is when he went to the manufacturer, he was just so picky on the minute repeaters, on the sound that the watch was making. This is how he would choose the watch he would be wearing. It wouldn't be the other way around, where he would sign a contract and and the brand would tell him, okay, you've got this, this, and this. Which one do you want to wear? It's like, no, it's not going to be like this. We're going to do the other way around. I'm going to listen to the sound, and based on what I hear, I'll be wearing it on my wrist. And that I thought was interesting, which again, doesn't influence me into buying it, but then I understand what's the strategy of the brand to pick and justify the choice of this celebrity or artist to represent the brand.
I like that. It sounds like you're more in love with Lenny Kravitz than George Clooney. Sorry, George.
You know what?
Pardon,
I'll take
Josh.
George as a husband. I'll take Lenny as a lover. And I'll just keep my fiance to live with.
Well, I do, Lenny. Andrew. Have you ever been influenced by influencers, by actors, by campaigns?
I think this whole subject of what influences is interesting. That's quite a tongue twister, because we see behind the curtain.
Uh-huh.
We live. If Siegfried and Roy are out there doing all their tricks with tigers and smoke and women cut in half, we're backstage seeing how it happens.
Uh-huh.
So it is actually, to me, it's really fascinating what actually, we know how the sausage is made. We know how the magic is created from behind the stage. So what works on us? And I'll pick out one example, which is the watch I'm wearing, the wrist check. that happens at the start of every show. I'm wearing the
Missed on that.
Norcane.
No, I didn't miss out on that, because we were going to come to me talking about
42.
influencers influencing me.
Okay,
and
okay.
then we were going to do this, but let's do it with you.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
just too
I have to
excited.
bring this into the story.
Yes, sir.
Because this is the World 142 in turquoise. And the reason, I think one of the reasons that this became the wild one for me out of the whole range
Uh-huh.
was the sense that Mark Wahlberg chose this,
Oh, yeah.
and it was an unpaid spot.
Yes.
So sometimes I think it's more powerful to me, it's more influential for me to seek what paid ambassadors are wearing when they're off the clock.
Yeah.
So we spotted Daniel Craig wearing, I think, a Milgas once, away from
Brad Pitt
prying
with the
cameras.
222, like
Brad Pitt
oh,
with
yeah.
the 222, but I think he wasn't actually. He didn't have official duties at that time. He was done with Breitling. We look at Beckham sometimes wear vintage Rolex at basketball games on a bund if he's really breaking out. I find sometimes the unpaid spots more powerful. Well, always. I'm curious to see what the authentic watch worn by somebody aspirational is, as opposed to the paid slot. However, I definitely am a sucker for the paid slot. Like when the brand fit is right and the values of the brand are summed up in a person, like to me, Daniel Craig, I still remember the outside back cover of magazines for Spectre. Remember? He's sort of walking with his suit, the Planet Ocean 600 with the Spectre dial, like all the things I wouldn't
That's
really
why
like.
you work out so much. You want to have the same six-pack when you
same
get half
rig as-
naked in front of a camera.
As Daniel Craig, walking out of the ocean. I just constantly want to walk out of the ocean to everywhere. No, but I Daniel Craig, definitely, that is my favorite movie, Casino Royale, of all the Bonds. He was peak Bond at that time. So I can be influenced by the actual paid campaigns, but I find myself, and the reason I chose this one is because I'm more influenced when I see the truth of an ambassador's choice.
Mm-hmm.
So that influences me more as someone that lives behind the curtain. Like, I want to know what you buy. I look at your Instagram, I'm like, yeah, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. What have you actually put skin in the game? And when you talk to me about the Laurent Ferrier and I feel this radiation of love and attachment, I'm like, that's influential. That's the same as this watch here. I saw Mark wearing this. I know Norcane can't afford Mark Wahlberg. And then I just called Ben Kerfer up and said, dude, what? Did you find like $1 million under the couch?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, man, it just matches the Pantone of his drip, his municipal drip.
Yeah.
And he likes the watch and he's wearing the watch.
Yeah.
He called us and asked us to get one.
Yeah.
And makes me just attach a lot harder.
That's a cool story. I remember that post. Actually, there were 2 posts of him obviously wearing the Norcane.
Mm-hmm.
We did see the Norcane on your wrist. It's a great story. What are you wearing?
I'm wearing a watch that I literally stole on the table, which is by this Italian brand named eco-neutral. And I actually discovered it here in London, meeting you guys, because I just like this titanium matte kind of sandblasted aspect of it, where it's drilled in just one full block of titanium, and you've got this like tiny details that makes you think that it's a classic watch, but it's got this modern twist at every corner, like from the line of like this polished mirror here to the screwed crown to the shape of the hands. It's just a pretty cool watch. I would just change the strap.
See, when I saw this watch also on the table a couple of days ago, I was just infatuated about, look at how the light just catches the crystal and the indices on the watch.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
And that
look.
mirror just caught that edge somehow.
It's just really pretty. Of course, it looks like it's a shape that we know of, a tank or whatever,
Reverso.
rectangular watch, reverso, yeah, exactly. But gorgeous piece, great choice.
Thank
Eleanor.
you. Thank you, Andrew, for the gift.
I think it just influenced me to look further into that wonderful.
I think I'll be your best
Italian
ambassador, and I'll be influencing a lot of people
We're
wearing this
working
watch.
out charms as we speak. The magic is happening.
That's great. Well, the last one, since you cannot be without the wrist shots.
Hashtag watchman.
That's the Cartier Santos Dumont. It's a very flat watch. It's got black lacquer on the bezel as well as on the middle case. When the sun or the light just catches the case, it's actually pretty hard to see the black lacquer coming into the...
Because you don't have the bracelet next to it. That just
I
matches.
don't have the black one. I don't have the black
Yeah, but that's
girls.
fine, because if you put silver, that'll be okay.
Ah, thank you. I have my personal stylist here dressed in denim.
This is very clever having all the colours because you can twist it around.
I think I'm
twist
going to
around.
retake
Yep.
my Carolina
brilliant.
Gucci Beats bracelet out with all the colors.
That's brilliant.
I was not influenced to buy this one, except, of course, it was if I was living in Paris in 1904, where Louis Cartier designed this watch for his crazy Brazilian friend Alvaro Santos Dumont. Anyway, my story is John Malkovich. Not that he's an influencer, he's just a cool cat that happens to appear in Hollywood movies. I watched him on a TV show, a German TV show, and he was dressed like a dandy, he knew how to dress a white dress shirt. He was wearing an IWC Big Pilot on top of his cuff. See, I don't know German, and it was dubbed. It wasn't subtitled, so I don't know what was going on. I just saw John Malkovich in a crisp white dress shirt wearing a Big Pilot. That day, at that hour of the day, I knew I needed an IWC Big Pilot, which I got. So, as an influencer, I was influenced by a Hollywood actor called John Malkovich. So anyway, let's go back to being influenced by campaigns. You claim that you've never been influenced by a campaign from a watch brand. But what if I claim that David Beckham is a really good ambassador for Tudor? What do you think?
I think you're right. And I'm not going to say he influenced me, because I've obviously looked into the watches and I got more attention, and I was drawn to understanding his character more. Like, it's literally when I watched the 4-episode documentary on who David Beckham was that I realized the phenomenon. Of course, I knew who he was. I knew the name. I even interviewed him, and I remember I had not a onesie, but a one piece that was like bright pink, and a friend of mine saw pictures like, did you actually go interview David Beckham wearing this? I was like, yeah, what's the problem? Like, do you know how much into fashion he is and how picky to do? I was like, yeah, so what? He's just a soccer player. No, you don't understand. He's David Beckham. And when I looked at the documentary, all of a sudden, I really fell in love with the character, but the family, like Victoria, the kids, the mindset, the education, that talked to me and that influenced me. So to some extent, it's thanks to Tudor that I discovered who David Beckham was. Mm-hmm. But it is not through David Beckham as a Tudor ambassador that I started or got interest into Tudor watches. It's kind of a tricky mindset, but it's just because of these guys, I'd like to understand what's the backstory and what's the strategy behind a brand for choosing that person or that person. Because sometimes, like the Lenny Kravitz, which is why I grabbed my phone, I was like, okay, what's the story behind it? Because at the end of the day, and especially today where a lot of people say, well, this guy is the ambassador and he's wearing that brand. Well, like half of the people will tell you, well, he's wearing that brand because there are that many zeros at the end of the check that he receives every year for the collaboration, which to some extent I think is right. But I also think now brands are spending more time into finding the right person who shares the same values, the same understanding, and also to people who have a genuine passion or love for watches.
There's a cool story about that Beckham. So I've got a specific story about that documentary and this is apparently, because you talk to brands and say, how's it going with Bradley Cooper? Yeah, it's going okay. Next minute he's changed from, what was it, IWC to Louis Vuitton briefly. And then, how's it going with Jake? And then Jake moves from here to Cartier. And it can be, the brands can be quite, yeah, it's going okay, or it's not going well, or this person's a nightmare. And when it came to Beckham, and I said to the Tudor team, so I saw the documentary, lots of Tudor. Yeah. And they said, he's amazing. He not only wore Tudor in every scene and changed it up and asked them, he was really collaborative on what he wore. He put Tudor on all his friends, all his family, everyone, and totally above and beyond what Tudor expected. And I think that's where, when you see a celebrity truly attached to a brand, it really makes you feel that they like it. Therefore, it's more than being paid.
But don't you think
except
it's also
for when Victoria Beckham had a stint with Breitling.
Yes, which is fine. She's allowed to go and play. I mean, she wears Nautilus every day.
I think maybe Breitling saw that documentary as well and goes like, let's see if we can lure her away from Tudor.
Yeah.
Well,
no, but also don't you think it's because they're both are genuinely passionate about watches? Like it's no secret that they've been the first one wearing Jacob watches. They own a lot of Patek Philippe's. They own, if not, I mean, I don't know their personal collection, but they do have a pretty big watch collection. And that doesn't bring anything to the contract that he's got with Tudor, and everybody's fine with that. And I think it's a genuine example where he's genuinely passionate about watches, and that makes a true difference.
But he just seemed to really want to give Tudor love.
Yeah.
By going to that extent of not just putting other watches on his mates, he put Tudor on everyone. Gold ones, bronze ones, everyone that popped up, all of his mates were wearing Tudor, and then Tudor said that they weren't his friends' watches. They were his watches that he put on them. So again, I think when you see someone really digging in with the brand saying, I like these guys, I love this brand, it does make you think, even though he's a paid ambassador, he cares and loves the brand. He wouldn't do those 1%ers.
There's no doubt. I think, unfortunately, we tend to agree. I don't like this show when we agree. But we agree that David Beckham is a very loyal and a great ambassador for a great brand that we seem to mention in every goddamn episode.
Mike Horn and Van
Dyke time.
Yeah.
Is another good example.
Here's a thing that influenced me. I knew the model was coming, but we signed an NDA. Ed Sheeran wearing the black 42mm all ceramic IWC Engineer way before it was launched. So anyway, I grabbed a hold of the IWC CEO, Chris, when he was hiding in the curtains of Watches and Wonders. I'm like, Chris, what are you doing out in the curtains? Goes like, that's the only way I can have a private conversation. Go like, okay, before you run off, tell me what happened. I mean, we signed an NDA. But Ed Sheeran was wearing, the 42mm black ceramic IWC Engineer on a late night show. He was also wearing it front row at a basketball game. He knows cameras are on him. And Chris said, yeah, well, we couldn't do anything about it because we had, a handful of watches and the stylist would pick one. See, what disappointed me in that is not, well, I was happy because I could tell Chris, look at us. We who signed the NDA, not one of us commented and go like, yeah, this watch is coming out next week.
Yeah.
Nobody did that. All the journalists, we were really polite. We are good peeps. I was hoping that Ed Sheeran bought that watch himself and wasn't wearing it because a stylist told him and he probably got, money changed ownership. I hope that he bought it. Because Ed Sheeran also, I think, influence in his very heavy and he's quite knowledgeable.
Yeah.
In horology, in watches, if you like. I have a feeling he has a pretty good and pretty solid collection. So I hope that Ed Sheeran, he owns the 42 millimeter ceramic IWC Engineer of this year, which, by the way, is a super cool watch. I'd wear it. I can't afford it. But if I could, I would buy it. So Ed Sheeran, I hope you put your money on the table and bought that very watch, because you influenced the influencers to influence other influencers to probably save up for that great watch. Yep, Eleanor?
Like on that, it's not that it's a trend, but we've seen recently, and you pointed out that we've all signed like dozens of pages of NDAs where we see watches before the embargo is out. And we've seen in the last couple of, not years, but months, a lot of embargoes being broken by celebrities to the point that, is it an actual brand strategy to do this on purpose?
100%.
Like when you look at what happened with Rolex and Federer, who, oops, I'm eating a fondue with the new Rolex that everybody cannot wait to see. Like, it's a bold move, but either you do it as like, okay, obviously it makes sense. It's Roger. It's in the Swiss Alps. It's like 24 hours before Watches and Wonders. And it's like, yes, but no, we give him the permission, but not really. So it's not an obvious shot, but it still is a shot. And I'm like, and that's why I hate those like influencer ambassador thing, because it's just BS.
Well, that's the Daniel Craig dilemma, isn't it? Like, oh, what was he wearing? That gold bronze Omega Seamaster?
I've got a little segue from that I think you're going to want to come with me on, which is the disappointment of seeing Rolex follow other brands in so many ways in the last 6 months. Like, I'm just used to them just doing their own thing. They don't need to play games. And I think Omega's had great success the first couple of times. It was like, oh my goodness, a white dial Seamaster, a Speedmaster. Wow, that's cool. Maybe that was a mistake. Then the second time you're like, oh wow, a bronze gold Seamaster. I don't think that was a mistake. I think that was.
When does that come out?
And then the next one. Then the next one, you're like, okay, we get it, guys. But then right at the end of that, when we're starting to sense that, getting a little bit cynical about this strategic leak. When Rolex did it, I was like, man, come on, guys. Like,
no. You have to go back on that, because we saw that already a couple of years ago from Rolex.
With the titanium Yachtmaster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The 42 millimeter titanium Yachtmaster on what looked like a Velcro strap.
Yeah.
So that was already out there, and people who looked through the magazine were like, hang on, what's all that then? Yeah. So Rolex producing the magazine, Rolex not liking to do mistakes. That honestly seemed like a mistake from a company that do not do mistakes.
But I agree with Ellie 100% that this was absolutely planned, the Federer thing.
Yeah, well, that one, yes.
Don't get me wrong, there are embargoes that are being broken. It's not on purpose. Like, I know that the MBNF Bulgari launch, when they did the Serpenti, there was a leak, and it was on one end, but not on the other. But at the end of the day, it was not really controlled, so the thing got out of control. But there's just so many embargoes like this, to the point that it's not a big deal. Like, at the end of the day, those are watch launches. We're not saving anyone's life. And when you see like the fuss and the whole thing that's around it, at some point I'm like, choose better your ambassador, choose better your team, work better with the PRs, like do better briefs. But it's just easy to then blame it on the journalists who are just like being yelled at, fired, like blacklisted from any other launch because he or she made a mistake on purpose. It's not the point. But it's just like, guys, at the end of the day, it's just a watch.
Yes, but a lot of time has been spent, putting into the watch and the communication.
I agree, but then don't show the watch before, and don't send any. If you really want it to be 100% control, don't send anything, don't share anything.
I think it's an old tradition, and also out of respect for the print medias. It takes a month before the magazine comes out. So respect to that. Yeah, because print magazines are still important. Print is important.
But print is different, because print is something that you have time to see and review, and it's more controlled. An Instagram post, you can just, in your bed, you have the picture, you think it's an honest mistake, you just have it and you just post it.
Yeah.
Deliberately or not. It's not the same thing as like a print thing when you're on a deadline and you need to do this before. So Yeah, the whole influencing, and then it's also a strategy to just make some noise about a new product launch. And when there's just like so many, especially around those hot times where there's just so many launches at the same time, who's going to get and who's going to benefit the most of this visibility, which is why some brands bring some of the ambassadors to the watch shows, because all of a sudden you've got all the paparazzis coming. Is like, oh, I spotted the celebrity doing that talk or showing that watch. And it's interesting. Last year when Julia Roberts came with Chopard, and they spoke about sustainability and the whole like Lucent Steel and how Chopard is like making ethical gold. And I thought it was a way of influencing the brand as like the values and where they stand, but not so much to what she was wearing. I can't even remember. I think she was wearing like a tiny Heure de Diamant or a Happy Sport or whatever that is. But at the end of the day, it didn't mark my spirit. She was just the face of a brand, and she shared the values. And because she's so important, and when she talks, you listen, that's a great move as an ambassador and an influencing standpoint, but not on a product. That's my take on the influencing.
It's about values, isn't it?
I just want to go back and reflect on what you said on Mark Wahlberg, because it looked good in him. And he's actually outside the big silver screen. He's a person of interest. I follow him on Instagram as well.
He's definitely the first to ever do live shots of Patex these days. He's got that main line too.
He gets it an hour before we even see it.
Exactly. So, and again, if I can just say that, if we talk about what works and what doesn't, like also as the head of a media company, when there's a WhatsApp group that we're spotting everything all over the world all the time. Just saw this, just saw this, just saw this, just saw this. And we have an emoji, the trident, from Anchorman. I killed a man with a trident. Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Anyway, we have a symbol that means, yes, let's do this one. But when I see these strategic on-purpose leaks, that's the height of me being behind the curtain at Siegfried and Roy going, I fucking hate this magic trick. I resent having to do a post on Time+Tide about the fact that Daniel Craig was cited in a watch. That's the least influential spot for me. Roger Federer in a Landweller. If I give it a ranking, Wahlberg in a Norcane is a 9 or a 10. It's really, he's not being paid. Therefore, he's choosing that for no benefit to himself. That's a 10. A 0 or a 1 is Brad Pitt in a Green Engineer in the movie, or
that was customized,
Roger Federer.
That was customized.
There's a cool story there. Maybe I'll give that a mid rating. But the real on-purpose leaks are a 0. But I think that something Marcus said over lunch, we just had lunch in the park before we came to this episode, and he said something very interesting to me, and I want to get your thoughts on this. He thinks that the influencer strategy, the ambassador strategy, works fundamentally because the brand gets to show in one clean image the club that you are joining. This is when you buy a Tudor, because Beckham influenced Marcus to buy his S&G because of the tats and the styling. And Marcus doesn't like football. He's not influenced by Beckham at all. He just loved, that's the club. That's a sort of a bit more of a bad boy, a bit more badass than someone in a suit. I'm in that club with that. That's the leader of my club to some extent. Whereas when we were talking about micro brands earlier, this is something where there's a huge void. When you buy a Christopher Ward, what club are you in? Who do you actually? Who do the other wearers look like? And I thought that was so interesting because I realized that is 100% what is driving when the club member or the club leader is the right values, the right look, the right styling, the right tats, the right denim shirt, and it all lines up. I'm suddenly like, without even thinking rationally in my prefrontal cortex, I'm just like, I belong with Lenny Kravitz. I love music. I'm a bit of an outsider. I'm artistic. I feel a strong sense of style. I'm into fitness. We're both no days off for sure. # no days off. This is my guy, 60 years old. This is an aspirational person that I want to become. And by getting the watch, I'm in his club. That is so effing true. What
Do you
Marcus
have a
said. I desperately have wanted a Jaeger for the whole time I've been in watches, and I've never pulled the trigger. And that's probably a whole other topic. But
and now that Lenny is the ambassador, you're going to pull the trigger?
I'm closer to it. But it's funny. It still doesn't. Well, if we talk about the things that really tip us to a purchase point, it doesn't get me all the way there, but it does begin to show me what a Jaeger wearer and owner and person looks like, and that helps me towards a purchase. But it doesn't get me all the way there. I'd never just rush out and buy what he was wearing, but the dream is well and truly on fire and alive. But I think what Marcus said, I just want to bounce it off both of you. Do you agree that that's the power of ambassadors, is that they get to personify a club that brand represents, and you get a ticket to that club when you buy a watch? Agree, disagree?
What do you think, Eleanor?
200% disagree.
And we're back.
Great. Care to explain?
Well, I'm just going to repeat myself, but it's just that I strongly disagree with the parallel you're doing with Lenny. And it's just all these guys, like, okay, let's put it this way. I hope it's going to come out right. All these guys open the spectrum, open the door, give me the visibility of a brand I wouldn't potentially look at because I don't see any advertising, and because I like this or that celebrity, I'm just going to go, I'd like to understand why. And then I may be discovering a product that potentially can raise my interest, this and that. But it's only like the tip of the iceberg just to drag my attention. But again, bear in mind that we're in the watch industry. We see these products all the time, but it's not something that appeals to me. What I think is even more important is when people, and then we're going to get into the second part of that episode, which are the other influencers, which are not the celebrities or the people who are paid to wear the brand or speak about the brand. It's people like you and I, or like my father, or like a guy like Michael Jordan, for example, who's super discreet. Even though we all know he's a big watch collector, he knows a lot about watches, just like John Mayer, for example, and not only APs. These guys have a much more importance and influence on what I would think about a watch or what I would think about a brand, because they've never been paid to do so. They buy whatever they want, and they make a big effort in hiding what they buy. And that I think is very important, very interesting, and that exactly what influences me. And also in a sense that I'm not even an influencer, like I'm non-existent on the Instagram sphere. But it's true that everybody knows, if you've been following me or hearing me for a while, is I've never been paid to speak about a watch. I've never been sponsored on Instagram to speak about a watch, believe it or not, but it's true. So whenever
Would you do it?
I don't think I would. I don't think I would, because I really have a hard time talking about a watch that, obviously, if you get paid, you cannot trash the watch, even though I've never trashed a watch. But I remember when I was the editor at GQ, I had to write a 3-page on a Dolce & Gabbana watch.
Yikes.
It was excruciating. And again, Dolce & Gabbana is an amazing brand, but stop doing watches. I swear to God. This actually made me start believing God. But it would be a really hard exercise. Like if you were to pay me and say, okay, you talk about the brand and agree to disagree, you can say you not like it, but you're being paid to expose. That's what journalists normally do. They give the information. They don't say if they like it, if they don't like it, if the brand is shit, if they should do better or worse investment. Our job as a journalist normally, but real journalists don't exist anymore, is to just give out the information, period. And I think, and my point is, I've been talking about watches, I've been trying on watches, I've been putting some of the watches, and some of the people who I don't know on Instagram was like, so what would be your ultimate this? And do you like that? And I would give like spontaneously what I think is like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, thanks to you, I discovered this. Oh, because you said that, I actually got into it. I cannot afford it, but I think it's really interesting. Oh, because of you, I bought that watch. I'm like, okay, I may not be an influencer, but what I say seemed to resonate to some people, and it's because it's genuine and I've never been paid for it. And I think it's a really important factor when there's like some influencing side of it, because you're less partial.
Interesting. I like that. That's a good point. I have a question for you. Andrew.
Tell me.
Have you been influenced by a person that is not necessarily a celebrity? A collector?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Tell me.
Well, it's actually on the accessories side. I haven't worn accessories until very recently.
Uh-huh.
And Emmanuel Giet, the designer, how do I say it correctly?
Emmanuel Giet.
Giet, who designed the Audemars Piguet Offshore, Royal Oak Offshore, and the Cellini and other watches. His dad was a famous designer. He wears it. Just brought home to me that when I find myself really in awe of someone's talents, I then look at the whole bigger picture, and I'm like, what else do you choose to do and wear? And he wears a Van Cleef & Arpels. Is it an Alhambra? Is that the black shape in rose gold with black
Onyx
around his wrist? This is something that I would never have considered, but that's an example quite recently of me looking at his wrist and just going, because he's such a design-orientated person, and he's just, everything is so curated and so perfect, deeply influenced, desperately want to wear an Alhambra bracelet, as odd as that seems to be for me. But if I have that sense of, and you have cost me so much money, sir. You're that little, which is this little bit of wrist, put it up. This little bit of wrist. If we could somehow calculate the amount of money this has generated for the brands that have inhabited this little 3 square inch space, I think it would be mind-blowing. Because it's cost you
square meterage of this wrist.
yes, exactly. Cost per square millimeter. So you are. I didn't want to go straight to you, but you have deeply influenced and created a massive wish list. But I wanted to go to Emmanuel because watches are one thing, but if someone can influence me to buy a Van Cleef & Arpels like jewelry bracelet, that's truly a sign of the deepest influence of all is. And I hate to agree, but I do agree, and you agree with me because you like celebrities when they're caught wearing watches they're not paid to wear, and the true, as do I. And I think I agree entirely that in our inner circle, when we see the choices that we pay, that we invest in our own skin in the game, and when I see Emmanuel wearing VCA bracelets that I know he bought, I want one.
Good
There's my
point.
answer.
So you're an influential. No, you are easily influenced. Because if we sum it up, I don't know. Like I know how to say it in French, but not in English. But
how do you find easily?
like I'm okay. So it's okay. I have to find. I don't know how to say it in English, but generally speaking, but we're not done with this episode yet. I think it also comes down to the personality. Like, are you a person that can be influenced? I know I'm not. Like, it's really hard for me on many standpoints, not necessarily on watches, but which is why I always make like bold choices and I don't go where people go and I don't choose what people choose. And is it because I wanted to make it like a statement as like a personality thing where I do not want, like, I spend a lot of like effort not to be influenced. Maybe I inherited that from my father. If everybody went right, he went left. If everybody wanted blue, he wanted pink. Maybe it's a thing, but I think it's also a personality thing where you can be influenced or not. Are you?
Who influences Kristian Hagen? If I gave you all the flowers for this wrist, who are the people? Are there, and where does it come from? The desire when you look out in the world, where do you go? Oh, I want that.
Auto, aka Mr. John Goldberg, if you like, Mr. Senya, the face of Senya these days. He has influenced me quite a lot, and I think
He's a stylish man.
He is the forever gentleman.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, taught me to wear a denim shirt under a formal jacket.
Yes.
Oh yes.
And mind you, whenever his grown-up wrist shows a timepiece, I'm like, why didn't I think of this? I mean, he wears whatever
about him. Is it just that sense of
attitude,
identity,
the confidence?
Listen, he
style.
rests in himself. I saw him in the Milan Cartier boutique some years ago, and a friend of ours, he was on fire, and Auto was sitting next to him, just looking dapper, in a double-breasted jacket that he only buttons on the last button down here, not this one.
Interesting.
That one,
It's
right?
against
He
the
has his
rules.
own style. Yeah. He makes his own rules. So the moderator is like talking, warmly about Cartier and the Maison, the brand, and so Auto, tell me, so what is it about Cartier you love so much? Elegant. And the moderator is
Doesn't
like,
speak much. Yeah, that's something.
and he's like, I love it. So that was it. That was the end of the show. The moderator could not get another word out of him. And everybody in the audience was like, I know exactly what he's saying. That's enough.
It's actually a good summer
He said
hour.
elegant. I said I like it. So do I. Thank you. Champagne to everybody. And I just love Otto for being the guy, the forever gentleman, the guy that opened was a Patek Philippe 24.99 with a cheese knife that he just did like this in this jacket and popped the case back open in front of a camera. Yeah. See, that influenced a lot of people to use proper tooling when opening a very expensive vintage Patek Philippe. Anyway, I think we had the influencers of influencing. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to have a short cut break. You ready for it? So this sickness.
The sickness, which is what we have. We have sickness so bad.
See, we wanted to play Uno, but we got these cards instead. Have one, Andrew.
Thank you very much. I'll take a card.
Eleonor. Eleonor. Tell me, what does your card say?
My favorite watch story to tell.
Good one.
Okay.
Have you told it?
I haven't. Actually.
Fresh.
So on one of my birthdays, my father, who had stopped carrying Panerai, we're talking about this brand, had a Panerai with a back case engraved Laurent Picciotto. And even though it was not the first watch that my dad gave me, because it was engraved with his name, it was like powerful for me to wear my dad's watch, because I knew, like, the Cartier, I knew he never wore it, but the Panerai he did. Long story short, it's in the middle of the summer. I'm with friends. We're in south of France. There's this like pompous guy who's just like showing off. He arrives on the jet ski. Hi, girls. And I'm looking at this like, who's this douchebag? He comes in and he's like, oh, you're wearing a Panerai. I was like, yeah. He's like, do you actually know the brand? It's like, yeah, a little bit. Like, can I look at your watch? It's like, sure. So I hand him the watch and then he looks at the watch. He turns over. It's like, do you know who Laurent Picciotto is? And I'm like, is this a joke? So I look at him and I'm like, yeah, do you? It's like, oh yeah, he's a good friend of mine. I'm like, this is going to be interesting. I'm like, oh yeah, he's a good friend of mine. You know, he's a watch retailer in Paris. He was the first retailer in France to carry Panerai. But are you really sure it's a real watch? It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Have you actually met Laurent Picciotto to say something like that? It's like, yeah, I kind of have. Do you know him well? Because I really do. It's like, well, it depends on the degree, but he's my father, so I don't know how far can you do this. And the guy looks at me, he hands me the watch over, he jumps back on the jet ski and leaves. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that happens.
Yeah,
is that a black Panerai?
A black Panerai?
Yeah, was it PVD, DLC?
No.
Okay.
No, it was a regular steel aluminum marina. Like. Okay.
Because Panerai had a PAM 195, 200 pieces, and the owner's name was engraved on the back.
Yeah, no.
Okay. That's a cool watch. Andrew, what does your card say?
Okay. I spend too much time doing this watch-related thing. And that is pressing the little save button on Instagram for a watch that is now going into just an ever-increasing list, and then me curating a list of future watches. And I spend way too much time thinking about and curating like a little bonsai tree, my future list, when I just keep telling myself, you have the perfect 2-watch collection. You could lose everything except 2. I won't say what they are. But I already have achieved what I set out to achieve. Why are you still doing this? So I think I need to stop.
Okay. Interesting.
No support for that. None. Yeah.
I think actually these cards are perfect for the influencers being influenced by influencers. There's something good connecting here. My card says, a watch grudge I've been holding on towards a watch brand or seller. And I had to consider this for a minute. a few moons ago,
Once upon a time in the life of Kristian Hagen.
There's just like a darkness that's just coming.
I had a
into.
collection of
Switch the light off.
Audemars watches. I loved the brand for many, many years. And I had a good relationship to the then CEO, Mr. Benamias. During a presentation of novelties at then SHH, I was filming his entrance, which was always a little bit,
Dramatic.
showtime, guys.
Rockstar. Yep.
So I was holding my iPhone, which was my camera back then, and he went so angry at me, he took my phone, no more iPhones, and thrashed it through the room in front of 40 journalists.
I was one of those people.
I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the f? And the AP rep next to me, she was like, what just happened? So anyway, one of the white lab coats men came over, like, I believe this is yours, with a smashed screen on my iPhone.
Mm.
So my reaction was, oh, okay, what a dickhead move that was. Expecting somebody to call me up within an hour, go like, sorry, Mr. Benamias was in a foul mood and let me repair this. I'll give you a new iPhone, Kristian. Nothing happened. Nothing at all. A week after the show, nothing. See, wristwatch collection is about emotions and emotional values. And I lost my love for the said brand and I sold all my APs way before they became super expensive.
That's the real pain in this story.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in for A Matter of Time. I really loved this episode. A lot of truth came out.
Yeah.
So,
We never know
are
where it's
you
going to go.
influenced by influencers?
Which of us influences you most?
We'll put a
I guess that
poll-
would be
a
the
poll in
question.
comments.
No.
It's
No.
Yeah, you're afraid you're gonna lose. I'm definitely not the one.
Who influenced you to buy a watch? Who do you wish you would influence to buy a watch? So thank you so much for tuning in. Can't wait to give you the next episode of A Matter of Time. Thank you, Eleanor. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Kristian.
Thank you, everybody, the production crew.
Marcus!
See you next time.
Bravo!
Pretty little thing living like you count, cause mama, I'm sure hard to hell and I yes around.